So Seyvum sends me a new electric chainsaw to test out, you know, so I call my buddy who's a professional lumberjack and I'm like, hey man, let's review some chainsaws today. And of course I come over and he pulls out all his fancy gear and shit, so I'm a little embarrassed to break out my little electric chainsaw here, but
it's not the size, it's the way you use it.
It's not the size, it's the way you use it. I think they all have a purpose. And these little electric chainsaws, I've reviewed these before and I like them. I think they're, for what they are and for who they're designed for, I think it works pretty good. This can be found on Amazon. What I like about the Seyvum is that this is an Amazon choice item. What that means is Amazon, based on reviews and amount purchased, the speed in which they're delivered, the amount of returns, all that goes into factor for Amazon choice. So you know, if it's an Amazon choice, Amazon stands behind it and usually it's a pretty good product. But let's go ahead and unbox this and see what it looks like and test it out a little bit. Inside the box we find you know, God, I hate unboxing videos, and I know you do too. So in the box, what we find is that this is a 6-inch saw, as opposed to, you know, there's a lot of these Chinese saws on Amazon, and I've reviewed a lot of these, and I think for the same kind of price range, you get a 4-inch saw. I noticed that a lot of the motors come off to the side here, where the Seyvum motor comes up off the top. It does have a scabbard for the 6-inch blade. 2 20-volt batteries, and they're honest about it. A lot of times you get these batteries and they'll tell you, you know, it's like a 20 amp hour, just something ridiculous, but these are 2 amp hour batteries is what they have on their label, which is cool. Another thing on a lot of these other saws is none of them have a battery meter. This one actually has a battery meter right here on the front that tells you, you know, the state of charge on the battery. It comes with little barrel style charger you plug into the wall. I'm not a huge fan of these. Looking at a couple other, Chris is going to help me talk about some of the differences in between these. This is his favorite one, and no, this is a cool little saw. The wife likes to use this. She loves to take it with us camping, you know, throw it in the camp trailer when we go on the side-by-side or whatever. These little electric saws are cool to take, but it's really hard to compare any of these to what you've got here is the Milwaukee. And we're all kind of, I don't know, seeing these Milwaukees, but I don't know, you get what you pay for. You know, you're talking about a full kit here with a bag, comes with gloves, a little oiler.
Where do you oil this saw? Because it doesn't look like it has an oil reservoir.
Right, so that's...
The Milwaukee's the only one I see that actually has
an oil reservoir. So
which is
that is one of the downsides to all these saws.
Or maybe not. I mean, if you're doing small cutting and you're out on your side-by-side, now you don't have to pack oil with you either.
You don't have to pack oil, and I've run this one a while without oil. However, you know, the Seyvum actually comes with a little oil, you know, bottle, so I'm assuming that we just dab it on the chain.
Yeah, probably.
As we run it.
Something I notice about the Seyvum that I like is there's a no tool adjustment for the chain tensioning.
Oh, that's a good point.
When you look at the Milwaukee, you have to use a bar wrench. When you look at this,
I don't even know the brand on
lithium, you have to use a saw wrench. That other one,
yeah, same
you
on
have to use a saw wrench. I think these two are the same, just different colors, to be honest with you. Well, there's some subtle differences.
Yeah, they're very close.
One's made down the block from the other one.
Right. I think a lot of them are made at kind of the same place. They're just kind of rebranded. This is the Goksawi that we've actually done a review on. And same thing, we have to loosen the bar and then we have to come in from the front with the screwdriver to tighten the bar. But how does this one work exactly?
To save them, you loosen this off and there's a cam that connects to this green barrel adjuster, and you just bring it up to where you want it, tighten it back down. It's actually one of the better built hands or tool-free adjustment.
Tool-free, so that's less stuff you got to carry. Because that is one thing, when I put this in the bag to take, you know, camping or side by side, I have to make sure I have my tools with me. This one did come with a spare chain.
Right here.
Oh, it's in the bag right here. And one thing I looked up is, I would not waste my time sharpening these chains. The reason is, it comes with a chain. This is for me, I'm not a professional woodsman, but you can get a 4-pack of these chains on Amazon for like $15.
Yeah.
And they send them to you, and as easy as this is to
And you're not
change
going to be
out,
cutting on the ground with this. This is more,
This
you
is
know,
a pruning.
branches as you're going through a trail, or maybe a couple sticks for your to have your lunch and a little
Right.
fire.
And I've done that with the Milwaukee. I've come across like some 8 or 10 inch logs on the trail, and I've cut from both sides, and we've been able to kind of clear the trail with that.
The Milwaukee does use a 3.25, which is a little bit better for, you know, sharpening. You can sharpen it easier. It's a little bit heavier duty chain, whereas these, the Seyvum runs a quarter inch pitch.
Right. So, yeah.
You could actually use this one for pruning with the small bar sprocket on the front. You could use this one for carving.
Oh, carving as well.
Yeah,
That's
small touch-up stuff with carving, rather than using a gas power head.
That's a good point. Well,
Ready to dog in? And
yeah, let's dog in, I guess. So the pros, so far the pros, I like the guard, you know, kind of over your hand. I guess that's kind of a way to hold it. I don't like to hold anything above the chain, but this does have a little chain guard over the top, you know, where the Milwaukee, sometimes it feels comfortable to hold it right here. But that is, I don't know, kind of dangerous. Another thing that you were pointing out that we noticed when we start this, it's on or off. It's not like the Milwaukee. Again, we're talking about two totally different tier saws, I think, but where the Milwaukee has, it's a variable speed. You know, we can control the speed of that, which I guess if you're pruning, I don't know how big of a big deal that is.
yeah, it's just something I noticed.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. Yeah, let's, what else? It came with some gloves. I would not.
Should we see if the gloves are saw-proof?
Yeah, you try them on.
Too small for my hands.
Yeah, that's what OJ said. Yeah, let's cut some limbs with it, and maybe we'll even do a comparison and see what.
Here we have some.
Hang on just a second. Okay.
Here we have a piece of ponderosa pine. As you can see, that's rated as a 6-inch blade, so we're probably about 4-inch tip. So we're going to cut a couple cookies now. So I think you could probably stop the motor on this, where the Milwaukee's a little bit harder to stop the motor. I'm going to hold it here. Yep. Let's make one more cut. We'll see where our battery life is. So now to test our battery, it still says full, but it didn't feel as full on that one cut as the first cut. Probably best to just let this cut at its own rate. Don't try and force it through the wood at all. Seems like a pretty good little saw.
Let's see what the Milwaukee does.
Okay.
All right, so now we're using the Milwaukee, but I've also got, it's the same, although it's 12 volt, it's still a 2 amp hour battery, where the other one's rated at 20 volt, it's a 2 amp hour battery. So let's kind of see what the Milwaukee does. So, yeah, I mean,
I think you're dead. Nope.
So that's why I put the 2 amp hour battery in that, because I kind of wanted to pair apple to apple, you know, which it's not. I'm talking power wise, I guess. But even then, it's still a different voltage.
Well, it's moving a lot more chain too. I mean, that chain's probably twice the weight of what that 1/4 inch chain is.
Right. So let's see what the Goxawi does. That's also a 20 volt 2 amp hour battery. This is the 4-inch blade.
You can see 4-inch.
Yeah.
Which is still very good. 4 inches is not too small.
So it stopped on you a couple times, but I think that Seyvum looked like it was cutting a lot smoother.
Yeah, the Seyvum's still a much stronger saw than this.
It is, okay. But still not quite comparable to...
Not Milwaukee.
Right, but what we also got a huge price difference we got to take into consideration.
We're not cutting limbs either. We're cutting a 4-inch piece of solid wood, as opposed to, you know, a small limb that may be protruding. You know, let's say we have this limb right here. You know, there's definitely going to be a difference between cutting 4-inch solid wood versus, you know, a 1 to 2 inch limb.
Yeah, let's take another look at that Seyvum saw.
So the Seyvum, the one thing I just noticed overcutting with that other saw, what's the name of that one?
The Goxawi.
The Goxawi. This one will give you some sort of indication too, whether or not it's slowing down. You can start to hear the motor bog down and you can back off. That Goxawi would just simply stop. There was no, hey, you need to back out a little bit. It was just
a different type of internal protection.
Absolutely, yeah. Right. It was off. I mean, you'd get to a point where it didn't want to cut anymore and just turn off, where you can back off with this one.
Yeah.
So we're going to put these two side by side, and we're going to see which one cuts off first. Both of them full RPM. Milwaukee takes it. Not by much.
But the Seyvum's very respectable, for sure.
And the difference between, I mean, this one is probably 1 pound, 2 pounds lighter than the Milwaukee.
Oh, no kidding. That's
I would think so, yeah.
Okay. Cool. So kind of after going through all the saws, the pros and cons, let's talk about pros real quick. For me, non-professional woodsman, I like the 6-inch blade as opposed to these 4-inch ones. And these are comparably priced on Amazon. This whole kit for the Seyvum, I think, is right now $89, and I think these are all real close. They all come with 2 batteries. They come with a, you know, a bag like this to store it in. They come with extra chains, charger, and everything. So I think bang for the buck right now, it's looking like the Seyvum.
I agree. The Seyvum, the plastic on the Seyvum actually feels like it's a better built plastic.
You can look at it and tell it almost looks like a better type plastic.
Absolutely.
You can almost see the nylon reinforcement inside the plastic when they mix that. So you're right. Not only does it look like it, but it feels
yeah, the 6 inches feels nice in your hand.
That's right. Always does. Another pro, not only the 6-inch, but the toolless chain adjustment. What do you think about that?
I really like that. One thing I was also mentioning as I was setting these down, you can't stand the Milwaukee up. The Milwaukee you always have to lay down. Not really a big deal, but I think that's kind of neat that you're able to stand the Seyvum up. So price comparison, where does the Seyvum sit? Do you recall what the Milwaukee fuel costs?
I don't, but I'll put it on the screen here, because I think if you know, this was the tool-only version, but if you were to get a kit with batteries, charger, and everything, it's going to be probably even triple of what this costs.
I think they're around $250, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, And you know, the Milwaukee does come with the scabbard. I don't know where I put it, but I don't recall these other saws coming with the scabbard for the chain, which I like that when you put it in the bag so it doesn't snag. And
see, it goes right on there and fits over it.
oh, it fits over under the chain
Yep.
guard. Yeah, that is pretty cool. So the other pro I like on it, again, is the fuel meter on the battery. We just press the button, just like the Milwaukee, the M18s. The 12s don't have it, but the M18s do. And this one's still showing a full charge. What I don't... Okay, so the little oil bottle does have a little a cap for it, but I don't know that I would want to store it in the bag.
I would leave that at home.
With oil in it. What'd you do? Just give it a couple squirts and just keep
Raw dog it. I mean, you don't need that lubrication. This little chain is not spinning at enough RPMs. You're not using it enough. I mean, if in those 4 or 5 cuts, if the chain was hanging off of it and sagging and loosened up, I don't think you're generating the kind of heat warranted like by one of these big saws that oil is going to be a big factor in it.
A big deal, huh?
I mean,
what about the bar itself? Do you think the bar itself without oil will be okay?
yeah, I mean, the tip, you know, probably has some sort of bearings in here.
Yeah.
It looks like it has one bearing in there that, you know, it spins around on. But again, I don't think you're making enough heat to even really get worried about having.
So not having an internal self-oiler is not a big deal for you?
No,
Yeah.
no, I don't think so. I think it's honestly overkill even on the Milwaukee.
So although I don't see this saw in your arsenal of tools, who do you think this is more geared toward?
You know, believe it or not, I would buy a saw like this. I
Really?
own the Milwaukee, going out side-by-siding or hunting, four-wheeling, whatever, to make my, you know, cut up a few sticks. There's a branch hanging out over the trail. This beats a handsaw any day of the week.
Yeah, oh yeah.
I used to carry a handsaw on me and I'd prune it, you know, as I needed to, or if I wanted to make a small fire, you know, cook up my beanie weenies. I would do the...
No,
I mean,
I'm totally with you. And
as far as yard work, though, somebody who has, you know, something that needs pruning a little bit more extensive than like a hedging, or, you know, they have just a small bush that needs to be trimmed up.
right, yeah. And the reason I like to take it camping with me, because it depends on where you're going. The Forest Service doesn't necessarily like you to bring your own wood because you're introducing other types of
Right.
bugs and stuff that could be not an invasive species to the area you're going to. So a lot of times that's why I like to take my own saw just to cut my own firewood for the night or whatever,
Yeah.
within, you know, downed wood within the forest. But
I mean, I would take this Seyvum. I don't know what longevity looks like on it, but I would take the Seyvum over the Milwaukee or the other two, you know, cheap looking plastic ones, because to me the Seyvum, for the value, and you know, it wasn't that far behind the Milwaukee and in the cutting, you know, it's going to be something that if you're using it occasionally, it's going to be suitable. You know, if you're doing more, the Milwaukee, you know, maybe a landscaper is going to carry the Milwaukee,
Right,
somebody
yeah,
that's actually going to make the money, or, you know, if you're, you know, no regards for what the price is, then the Milwaukee's the way to go. But if you're just using it occasionally, I think that Seyvum is probably going to be the route to go down.
yeah, so the Seyvum, there you have it. The opinion of a professional woodsman. Is that what you are?
I guess so.
A professional lumberjack.
Depends on who you talk to, I guess.
That's right, that's right. So Seyvum, I mean, I'm going to put a link to this saw in the description of the video. And also check them on Amazon, because they also have plenty of other tools as well. I know they've got cordless impacts, blowers, and stuff like that. But the saw itself is probably one of the items I would buy before anything else on their other products. So that's all I got to say about that.